Okay, so now that we have extracted these, I guess I should explain this. So the surfaces are where all the pictures are located, and the interfaces is where like all the coding is. But it's not really coding. I don't feel like it's not like this alien language. It's honestly, if you think about math, this is actually where X and Y come into place. So X, you move things horizontally, and Y, you move things up and down. And then you just have like your width and height of a picture. So you're honestly just moving things from on an X and Y axis. And who knew? Like actual math would come into place. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into surfaces. Again, this is where all the pictures are. And this is where your file paths will come into place. Again, I will post these later. So we're going to copy the file path. Now, I like to start with your INI. I feel like usually that is the biggest theme. Like the biggest and the hardest thing to do, I guess. It's not even really hard. But you're going to want to pick something and then base the rest of your UI off of that theme. You don't want it to look really bad, I guess. You want it to match. And so never start with small things, because you might end up doing the bigger things and like that idea better, and then you have to go back and backtrack everything. And so yeah, you can do it how you want to. Obviously, it's your UI. There's no real right or wrong way to do it, but these are just my tips. Okay, another tip that's also really helpful is these are basically the same pictures, right? Do you see the difference in quality with transparent pictures? Like, it's huge. And I don't have to go through and get out all that white. And by the time you even get out all that white, it'll look super pixelated, and it's just not worth it. If you can find pictures that are already transparent, oh my gosh, you have won the day. And I think the easiest themes to go with, basically, on UIs is other games, because there's UI packs like this already out there, and then there are people who make their own. So let's see, like League of Legends. See, I already looked it up, so it's already in my search engine. Like, there's so many that people have already made. Like, I could virtually use any of these if I really wanted to, but I chose to go with the basic one because, you know, I'm teaching people how to do, yeah, the stuff. Oh, see, they even made like a Diablo theme UI one. That's actually pretty cool. Actually, I'm gonna save it somewhere. Okay. Another helpful tip is, I don't actually have kids. I want to clarify that. I'm a preschool teacher, so where the hell is my, okay. UI ideas. This is a really good folder to keep. This is just random stuff that I saved that I like, that I might want to use in a UI later on. Or if I think of a theme, like I've never really made like a space theme, or like, ooh, I really wanted to do like a Victoria theme. Like, there's everything here. A bunch of dragons, and yeah. So just save whatever you want that you think you might want to use in a UI later on. You might never use it. You might use it 5 times. Doesn't matter. Have a folder. They're super cool to have, because if I'm out of ideas, I can just go through it and find what I want. Okay, so I like that, so I'm gonna save it to my folder, even though I'm not gonna use it. Okay, so this is obviously where your INI is, and I'm gonna really try to keep this super short and work as fast as I can and be as in detail as I can. So what we're gonna do is, you can actually start working from here, but I prefer to not do that off the bat. I want to make a new one, and let's just say we're gonna make this 400 times 400. That's not 400. Okay, so see this right down here, the 280 times 65, that's what your current size in the game. So you don't want it much bigger than that, especially if you have a smaller resolution. So I like to start out with 400 times 400 just to give me some space to work. It doesn't actually usually end up that big, but again, it's a nice workspace. So we're gonna guess I'll explain the tools. So this is your select tool. You can click on that, drag it. Control X is delete, in case you didn't know this. Okay. So let's copy this. Move that off. So I'm going to select that. Control C, Control V. Doesn't really matter where this goes, okay? For now. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. Go over here. And shit, see, I keep moving it and losing it. And we're going to select all. I want some of the gradient back here. We're going to select all of this. Control C. Now, you go to Edit, Paste into New Layer. And you see it has all the hotkeys for you already listed, so if you want to learn all of that, sure. But I'm going to try and keep it to the point if you've never used PaintNet before, because I know a lot of people use Photoshop. So we're going to paste it into New Layer. Keep canvas size. See, let's just do this. It'll expand the canvas, but ours is already so big you don't really want to expand it past this point for sure. So we're going to paste into the new layer again, and we're going to keep the canvas size. And you can just resize it like this. You don't have to make it that big, because it's going to appear pretty big again if you just expand it like that. We're going to delete that because there's nothing there. Okay, so you want to select the layer of whatever picture you're working on, because I can't stress enough how important layers are, especially if you've never worked with them before. So I can select this and it be on this and watch. It doesn't move anything. Or like, let's see, I copy it, Control V. It copies the background because it's not selected. So you really gotta pay attention to your layers. Okay, so now this is selected and I would like to move this. But I want this in front, so I'm gonna move this ahead, right? And I think I messed up some of the gradient down here, so let's back up a minute. Okay, here we go. You gotta pay attention to small things like that too, because it makes a huge difference in quality. And that's what we're going for, is quality. You guys. Okay, so this is selected. And I'm gonna move this to where I want. I need to make sure this is selected. I gotta move this in the front. So we're gonna move that in the front. And then we're gonna work on this again. Gonna move this to wherever you wanna move it to. I kinda want this at the bottom so this can lay flat. Okay, I guess these are about the same. Yeah, I want these at the bottom so these can lay flat. In game. Well, I think that'll be cool. We're just gonna stretch this. Okay. So once again, layers are important. Select this. We're gonna go to the eraser. You wanna make sure this is all the way up. And then this is just the size of your eraser. And you see how I'm technically erasing this? It's not selected. So again, the importance in layers are, yeah, obviously important. Shit. Okay. Cool. Cool beans. Alright. So now what we're gonna do, because obviously we need more than just health, we're gonna make more bars. But I don't want this bar here. So I'm gonna cut it. Actually, I missed a little spot here. You're gonna take just the edge of this. See, Control C, that's the copy. Control V, that's paste. And you're just gonna drag it to fill it in. Because if I were to just select this empty spot here and pick a random color, see, that just doesn't look as nice. So we're gonna, wait, Control Y. Okay. So yeah, we're gonna leave it like this for now. Now, we are going to make a rectangle. Yeah, make sure, because there's different shapes, so make sure you, yep. Brush size is 20. Don't know why, but it is. Alright, so when you make things, you need to watch down here because it'll tell you the size. So I want it 20 in height. I don't really care about the width right now, but 20 in height for this UI. And then you can just kind of stretch it to where you want. We'll put that right there. You don't want it too crammed. Put that right there. I'm gonna Control C, Control V. Did I have that? No, I didn't have it selected. Select it. You're gonna be using copy and paste hotkeys for the rest of your UI life. Okay, so if you're going for a quality UI, which I hope you are, you're gonna want everything even. Okay, so we're gonna go all the way down until you see the blue. There we go. So that's 1 pixel, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I want my HP bar a little bit bigger than the rest, so I'm just gonna make this smaller. See, right now it's at 20, and so let's go down to 16, and it tells you that in the bottom left corner. Okay. Control C, Control V, because I want my next one the same size. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now that looks a little funny. Not because it's uneven, but we could probably move this one up a little bit. So what we're gonna do is, if you want to move more than one thing at once, hold down Control, and it'll select more than one thing at once. Keep holding Control down. Okay, now you're going to click this, which is move everything, and we're going to just move it up a little bit. Right. You do the same thing we did earlier. We can just see Control V, fill that in a little bit. CV. Actually, because we're not the same color, and so that might look a little tacky. I mean, you probably can't tell the difference, but yeah, that looks a lot better actually. Okay. So now if you really want it to look a little bit better, what we can do is add a border around it. And so since this is a border, we're going to match the colors. So we can take these two colors, Control C, I don't like how light that is, so we can go over here where it's a little bit darker. I mean, again, this is totally up to you, but this is just how I'm making this particular UI. Leave a space in between because that's where that top color is going to go. So leave like 1 pixel space at the end of it. And what you can do is Control C, Control V, and just drag this down and flip it. And drag it down again. Control C, Control V. Make sure, again, it has a pixel space in between. If you're doing a duotone border, which you want to, because it'll look a little bit nicer. CV. We're gonna just go 1, 2. Do the same thing to the top. And I'm working a little backwards, but that's okay. These are just itty bitty tips and tricks, as opposed to going through and actually doing the same thing a million times when you can just copy it and only do it a few times. Alright, this is why I said leave a space in between, because you're going to want to make sure the same colors connect. It's a little bit too thick. Right. So you can just do this. Yep. The same thing we did, CV. Shit. Another thing you have to be careful of is when you're dragging things in Paint On It is sometimes it'll rotate it and make it look like super pixelated. So sometimes watch, I didn't do it, but sometimes you gotta watch how you drag it, because it's super easy to misclick it. See? Once you get the hang of those, it's like shit. Talking about getting the hang of things, and I totally just messed up there. Okay. And that looks, in my opinion, a lot cleaner. We're gonna Control Z all of this, undo all of it. Looks a lot cleaner than just those black spaces. And that is how you edit an HP bar, generally speaking, if you already have your background. So we're going to select, because as I said, this is 400 times 400, but obviously we're not using like 300 pixels worth of stuff up here. And you don't want to leave this blank as is, because this empty section will show up in game too. And you're just going to have this giant empty section, and you don't want that. It'll just take up a lot of space on your screen for literally nothing there. So you can make it exactly to the pixel, but it won't make that big of a difference. And you can image, crop to selection. And now it's 400 in width and 140 in height rather than 400.